Hi Virgo, welcome to your August 2018 tarot reading. It's Raina here. This is a general reading for the sign of Virgo, and so I'm just going to get right into it. The heart of the matter is the Devil card, and this is a card of, you know, some kind of addiction or compulsive behavior, or it can be excessive materialism. This card is connected to the sign of Capricorn. So that's a fellow earth sign to you, if this is an individual in your life. And somebody asked a good question to me. I believe they said something along the lines of, well, it doesn't have to be something bad, right? Because it can be Capricorn. And I thought, yeah, you know, what about if it's just a Capricorn? Why do I always see it as something to watch out for? To watch out for any kind of thing that has got you ensnared, or maybe has somebody that you love in its clutches, like an addiction. Maybe it's not even you. And so for one example that I could give is if you're staying in a job just because the pay is really good and yet it's really doing its number on you, but you just can't break free from that desire to make as much money as possible. Now, I have a feeling this is a personal relationship and that it's not you that's the one who's addicted, because we have here as a challenge position, the Three of Cups. So this can be partying too much, and the person, you see there's the number 3, so there could be 3 parties involved. It could be, or multiple people. So if you have a spouse who maybe is, you suspect is cheating, and perhaps drinking excessively as well, then that could be it. Now we look at the foundation card and we have the 3 of Wands. So what that tells me is that you're fed up and you've had enough, and you're looking, you think that you deserve better, because the 3 of Wands is about expansion. And the person who's in that position from the other side of it, who's living with somebody like this, is going to eventually have enough. And maybe you've gotten to this point where you believe their lies, you believe that they say they're going to quit, they say they're going to stop cheating, and they don't seem to do it. Now, I would say too, with the Devil card and that 3 of Cups, that it could indicate that the drinking is leading to the infidelity, or that the person has a sexual addiction. And people make a lot of jokes about sexual addiction, and they think it's a fake kind of condition. But I don't believe that it's fake at all. I think that there is such a thing as sexual addiction. I think that it is something that can be complicated, that it's not necessarily, you know, because I think people think of addiction, oh my gosh, if I don't get my fix, that I'm going to die, or I'm going to have some kind of, you know, relapse, or what do you call it, like a detox experience, and I'm just going to have these terrible tremors or something like that. Addiction is very complicated, and it doesn't involve necessarily having physical symptoms of withdrawal. You know, there can be psychological problems as a result of not getting your fix too, you know. If you feel like a sense of psychological discomfort because you can't do certain things that you're used to doing, then that can be a different type of withdrawal. So anyway, the point being that you may feel like you have enough and have had enough and want to move on. Also, the thing, like with the workplace situation, if this is a workplace situation, you may even have people in the workplace who are really not your friends, but they pretend to be. So that may be, you may say, I'm going to go off on my own because the 3 of Wands could even be you starting your own business. The spiritual message is the Five of Pentacles, and so look, Virgo, at any possible lack consciousness within your psyche that is lurking there, because you may be holding on to a negative experience out of fear that not having X, Y, or Z in your life is somehow going to mean that your life is not okay. In other words, sometimes people, you know, this is great. The devil you know, okay? You know that expression. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. In other words, even if something is problematic, it's familiar. So whether it's a person that you are deeply involved with, who you know all of their problems, you know that that person is drinking too much, is philandering, whatever they're doing, you feel like, at least I know what their faults are. What if I get involved with a new person and he turns out to be, or she turns out to be even worse? So the devil you know. And same with the workplace situation. Well, yeah, I don't get along with my coworkers, I don't trust them, but at least I know what I'm doing, at least I'm getting a steady paycheck. So basically what happens is it causes you to play small because you're afraid of the unknown, and you're also afraid that something better might not even be there if you were to leave this situation. The Five of Pentacles can be like poverty consciousness, believing that I have to hold on to this because I never know when the next thing is coming up. Sometimes in my own life, when I have let go of money, have bought something that I felt was, I didn't want to buy, even though I felt like it would improve my life, but I did so anyway, that I found that money came to me very quickly afterwards, that could, you know, maybe even make up for that money, or at least it kind of opened up the flow, or donating money, whatever you do. So sometimes you have to get out of that mentality. I think it's challenging if you haven't come from a place where you have felt abundant. If you have always felt this sense of lack, then it's easy to continue on that with that mindset. If you've found it very hard to meet people and you finally are in a relationship, then I can understand why you would be afraid to leave this one, because you think, oh, then I'll be alone. But sometimes being alone is preferable. And also, they say nature abhors a vacuum. So anytime that you make space for something new in your life, you might be able to actually bring it in. But if you're like involving yourself with someone who doesn't have a good influence over you, the devil represents darkness and kind of feeling a sense of being tied to something that isn't positive. So, you know, thinking about that. And then on the practical level, we look at the Knight of Wands, and this is, this could be actually describing this person. Maybe you don't see this person in that light. This is the card of the womanizer. The card, somebody who's afraid of making commitments. Now, I've been getting this card too. I've been getting knights lately. Knights represent, I believe, I keep saying this, I hope I'm correct about this, the fire element. And then you have the different suits that will also represent different elements. So wands represents fire. This is a double fire. Hence why it is known as a womanizer, because the fire element is known for lust. Okay, and it makes sense. We say, you know, baby, light my fire, and, you know, I'm hot, you know, whatever these expressions are. That's what it means. And so this kind of person, if they're, you know, if we're talking about a sign, if they're not a Capricorn, and actually I can't imagine a Capricorn kind of doing this sort of thing, but anything is possible, but the fire signs are Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries, okay? Virgo would probably be attracted to Aries, Sag, because they're both mutable signs. And I think I got something with Sagittarius that was with Earth. So maybe, and I think I mentioned a Virgo, so maybe there are some people out there who are in relationships with Sagittarians, some Virgo people. But in any case, this type of person may not be a bad person. But the thing with the Devil card is you may be in this kind of a grip with this person, and you know it's not a healthy relationship, but you can't help yourself because it's hot, you know. It's hot. And but you know that it's really not, it's not a true relationship. Maybe it's more of a sexual relationship. Gosh, why can't I think of the term I want to use for the Devil card? Yeah, being under in the grip of addictions, but there was another word, not just addiction and compulsive behavior, but being tied to this person in some way. Now, this person may simply be afraid of commitment. And they may be a good person. They may even be fairly honest in a way. But they just, you may be the one that is misreading the situation. They may be very straightforward in just, hey, I want a good time. I call it a good time Charlie card. Because these kinds of people, they're fun to be with, but they're not there for the long haul. And sure enough, I got what is coming in is represented by the Four of Pentacles. This is more your speed. Now, 4 is a number of stability, foundations. So maybe this is a fellow earth sign that is fitting into this, that is the kind of person that you want. And because it's an earth sign, you may even have that sense of sensuality too. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn individual. And so you can still experience that, but you also get the other parts of the relationship that are important to you. Also, you see that this person's holding on to their money. You may be, this is a card of financial security, okay? So it can be, it's funny though, this can be excessive materialism as well, you know, greed. So again, with the Devil card, is there some kind of situation going on? Because we have the Five of Pentacles where, you know, there is this poverty consciousness. Maybe that is creating an excessive preoccupation with money. And that is making you come across as rather greedy. It could even be within a marriage, because we have here, this is, I said this was the Lawyer's card, the Knight of Swords. And it could be that you are, maybe you're negotiating with a lawyer during a divorce, and the issue of money is a bone of contention between you and your soon-to-be ex. And you're really holding on to this thing. But a lot of times when people are holding on to money in that type of situation, sometimes even in situations where wills are involved, it's really for emotional reasons, even if they do not understand this, because they feel that perhaps they cannot, how can I put it? They feel like that's the only thing that they have, that they can't control the other party and how they are behaving. So I wouldn't call it necessarily revenge all the time, but sometimes it can be kind of vengeful, and sometimes it can be a situation where they are simply looking at it from the standpoint of wanting to feel like they're getting something for all of their all the hell that they've been put through. So if you've been dealing with somebody, let's say, yeah, like somebody's cheating on you, maybe you've had enough and you've consulted a lawyer. If you get hung up and get into the weeds about money because you want to, kind of like have something to show for it, be careful, because the longer you have to argue about this, the more you're going to be connected to that person that you're trying to get away from. So that's just where I was going with that. But in other cases, this could be like a situation where you really are, maybe you're budgeting and you're just watching your pennies and you're going off on your own. And you are expanding yourself at this time. And it could just be that with the Knight of Swords, that you are becoming much more straightforward in your communication and you're not letting anybody walk all over you. Maybe that led to something going on in a workplace scenario where you felt like people were against you. Maybe they were phony to your face and then they were really like against you, the Three of Cups. And you may have wanted to even, like this could be like you wanted a promotion or you want something more than what you have. And these people were trying to keep you from it. And this could either be like human resources or whatever they call it when they mediate situations. So almost like not necessarily a lawyer, but somebody who is like handling the two parties involved in the dispute and making a decision. But also just in general, that you're like, I'm like, you're changing the way that you interact with others and becoming a lot more direct and to the point, and take it or leave it type of thing. And maybe you tried to appease people in the past and they didn't appreciate it, and it just led to more problems. So even the devil in that case could even be that maybe the whole place is just full of toxic people from the head down. So anyway, Virgo, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, the link to my website, rainandmoonastrology.com, is below. Have a great August. Bye.